Welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Life. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Here on Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. This morning, I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with off-cycle governorship elections. Uzodinma Ododo win in Imo, Kogi, BAYELSA ready today. BAYELSA collation continues today. Uzodinma polls 540,308 votes to floor Ayawu 71,503 votes. Achonu 64,081, while PDP wins 5 of 6 local government areas, leads in Bayelsa. Collation of 2 local government areas continues today. Melaye calls for cancellation in 3 Kogi local government areas. Imo PDP Labour Party cake call for cancellation of results. Poll didn't hold in some polling unit as coming from Yaga Africa. Female NYSC member missing with beavers and result sheets. Uzodinma's re-election well-deserved. Sanwo-Olu Kalu are saying that, and according to Catholic bishops, we've learned nothing. Protest in Bayelsa over Nembe result. You can see that on page 14 of Vanguard newspaper. And here on page 4, 2024 budget, how to end Nigeria's economic woes. Wanted killer of Rivers DPO, 2 Baba's men storm community, Q5. You can see that on page 6. And on page 4, alleged admission racketeering. We are ready for Senate probe that's coming from JAMB. NNPCL restores production of 275,000 BPD. You can see that story on page 12. And right above the banner, Edo to become a first world economy that's coming from Obaseki, Igodalo, and Dangote. Annual confab, Amuka, Oshoba, Obaigbena lead 300 editors to Uyo. And insecurity now business that's coming from Matawali. You can see that on page 8. Lastly, on Vanguard newspaper on page 8, custom raises FX rate for collection of duties from 770 naira per dollar to 783 naira per dollar. And that's all on Vanguard. Now the nation. The nation is leading with Imo Kogi governorship polls. Uzodinma Ododo triumph. INEC keeps Bayelsa's leading candidate Diri in suspense. Achonu Ajaka Melaye reject elections outcome. On page 5, inflation rises on soaring food energy prices. Terrorists kill 100 in Burkina Faso attack. You can see that on page 28. 5 die in Ijebu-Ode or railroad crash. That can be seen on page 27. Oya seals illegal mining sites. You can see that on page 27 still. Abdulrazak mourns a veteran Kannywood anchor Samanja on page 26. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, up the banner, customs raises exchange rates for importers. You can see that on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Now on the Guardian is leading with Uzodinma re-elected. Ododo wins Kogi as the release in Bayelsa. Reps launch NAS eye for effective oversight in MDAs. Below, we have social media regulation bill gagging free speech or taming monster. That can be seen on page 4. 45-year-old woman flees with daughters over circumcision rights. Fuel subsidy, forest liberalization may drive inflation to 30% by December. That can be seen on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now the Punch newspaper. Punch is leading with PDP Labour Party kicks as Uzodinma Ododo wins protest in Bayelsa. Uzodinma wins all local government. Opposition rejects Imo Kogi results. There's no election took place. The supporters protest as Silva wins Nembe with 22,248 votes. APC defends victory in local government. Editor Summit. NGE draws Tinubu Ribadu, others to Uyo. Federal government aims for 1.9 million BPD intensifies war against oil thefts. Attic takes ill during church concert, dies in hospital. You can see that on page 4 and 5. Nigerians make unfair demands on lawmakers, that according to Senate President. That can be seen on page 7. And right above the banner, VC writes federal government rejects 40% varsities IGR deduction. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Dangote Refinery secures license to refine 300,000 BPD crude. That can be seen on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining us this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed. He's the CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Ali.
Good morning, Damlola. How are you?
I'm fine.
And happy birthday to you on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't come. We will surely do something.
Yes, I think that was my But let's talk about the off-cycle governorship polls. What do you think about how the thing has gone so far, the Kogi, Imo State and Bayelsa election?
Well, it is the usual game in Nigerian politics. When you have elections, you do not have them come in a perfect manner. We don't have them perfect, 100% perfect. You see people trying to rig, like the case of somebody they caught with cash. I don't know when we are going to come off that. Anytime we have elections in Nigeria, somebody was caught naked and he was arrested and made to come online naked for rigging. That was, I think, in Imo State. I don't know if you saw the video. Another person was caught with cash in Bayelsa State. But then, the elections went on. You can't, like I said, you can't have 100% success in any election in this country. We are still learning. After so many years of democratic governance, I hope one day we will get it right. What I saw in Kogi State on Saturday wasn't good enough, but somebody has been declared winner. And as usual, if you are dissatisfied with the result of the election, I saw the press release from Dino Milaye saying that he was boycotting that election. He made a tragic mistake. You can't write a petition against an election that you have boycotted yourself. You understand what I'm saying? He shouldn't have come out to say that he was boycotting the election. No, run it till the end. You have evidence to appeal. If there is a need for you to appeal, you have enough evidence to appeal. But here he said he was boycotting that election. So we are waiting for the next step, if he will appeal or not. The other candidates have not spoken about the result of the election. And we hope that there will be peace at the end of the day in those three states, where so far so good. We've not had any reactions to the results that have been announced in the three states. Bayelsa State, they have not concluded collation. I'm sure before the end of today, we will get the result. But from the results coming out so far, the current governor, who is also contesting, is leading. And so far, I think it's a good thing that we have peace in those three states. There is no crisis, no burning of houses, no burning of cars, and except for few incidents that were recorded there. So I believe that once again, we've gone through this with some level of decency, without violence.
Okay, let's talk about the pre-election. But on Friday night, INEC staffs, they were going to the riverine area in Bayelsa State. They were attacked by gunmen. Those gunmen, they collected the result sheets, even threw them inside the water. They were going through boats. So what do you think about the mode of transportation, even right now? I mean, shouldn't you have gone past that?
No, you see, some areas in Bayelsa State can only be accessed through the sea. They don't have roads. Even when Bayelsa State was newly created, it was surrounded by water. Where the state government house is today, they had to dredge it and build on top of water. So the topography of that area is like that. there is no way you can roll out that mode of transportation in Bayelsa State, because a lot of the local governments in that area, you can only access them through the sea. So you have to travel by boat. So it is not an accident that they had to go through by boat. But if they meant well, those who attacked them, they shouldn't have. Why would you attack people who are coming to conduct election and steal voting materials from them so that you can have an upper hand in the election? If it is investigated and we have evidence that any of the candidates that took part in the election is involved in this, I think they should be punished.
But drafting NYSC members for election. Right now, they said a female NYSC member is missing with beavers results and also result sheets. Same thing during the presidential election. People complained about NYSC members being compromised because they are still young. Should we still have continued with this election?
Well, in an environment where there is decorum and discipline, I don't think anything is wrong with using youth corpers. That those are the people that will look upon as the leaders, future leaders of our country. There is nothing wrong with employing them to be part of an election in a decent and honest society. But in Nigeria, what we get is a situation where these youth corpers are being compromised. A youth corper that is on less than 100,000 naira allowance per month will be offered 5 million. There is nobody that will resist such a temptation. It is irresistible. So, if you are looking at the fact that they are corrupt, yes, because it is part of the general situation of the country. There is indiscipline. People do whatever they want to do with the belief that nothing will happen. Impunity. It is part of what we call impunity. Once you have that terrible disease called impunity in any society, every kind of evil will be perpetrated in that society because somebody did it the last time and nothing happened. So the people that you think you are entrusting your elections to, with the hope that they will be fair, they will compromise whatever process that you have put in place to ensure free and fair election, and nothing will happen. You will be surprised that after today, nobody will talk about what happened again, how they were given money and all that. Nobody will talk about it again. The police will not take any action. INEC will not take any action. EFCC will not take any action. And it goes just like that because there has been an all-round sabotage through those agencies before the incident that we are talking about. So we have to sit down and reorientate our youths on the need to be patriotic in this kind of situation that we are. If we continue this way, I am afraid that we might have people who will get into government and they will steal far more than what is going on in this country today.
Okay, let's talk about the beavers and the INEC. Hours before the election, there were reports that INEC withdrew passwords, though they later came out to say that they did not. And now we are also hearing reports that in some local government areas and some polling units, the election, it was done voting in some of those locations were done without beavers.
They were done manually.
Without beavers.
You can do in other climes like the UK, United States, but in Africa, we are still in the process of getting the nitty-gritty of elections right. For whatever reasons, you see manipulations, you see corruption in all the elections that has taken place in Africa, not only in Nigeria. Not only in Nigeria. I read about uh, the president of, is it Cameroon now? No, 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 no. Where the president was a footballer, Togo.
Togo.
Yeah, that some people want to ensure that the result of the election that returned him as president is annulled, and came out to state all sorts of malpractices in that election. This is the same thing we are having in Nigeria. We must determine as a nation to have free and fair election. Whatever we say we are going to do, whether you want to use beavers for the election, you must have perfected that process of using beavers for elections and ensure that you adhere to your words that we will use beavers, and not that you get to the election proper and you will be telling people that the beavers was not working and or it couldn't be used for whatever reasons. It makes a lot of people to lose hope in the process of this election. It can cause anarchy in areas where people are wild enough or courageous enough to confront INEC staff there. So we must be careful the way you come out to make promises that election will be free and fair, whereas it will end up being disorganized or poorly organized. You understand what I'm saying? Once you open your mouth as an INEC commissioner to say that we are using beavers, your word should be your bond. This is the kind of thing that creates problems and crises in most areas where elections were manipulated.
In Imo State, as contained in a report by Yaga Africa, they revealed that election did not occur in 12% of its sample polling units. For example, in one of the local governments, Osu local government, said 9 of the sample polling unit did not witness any election. Another in Okigwe local government had said 8 sample polling units did not witness any election. Should results have been announced since some polling units have not voted?
I am personally surprised to see how APC won election in a landslide manner in Imo State. But since we were not there to see exactly what happened, it is difficult to allude to that there was cheating or manipulation in the elections. But it is obvious from what you have read out that elections did not take place in some areas that the APC claimed to have won elections. You understand? How they did it, I wouldn't know. But as a Nigerian, I know that it is not unusual to have this kind of situation. But it is saying the fact it is not too good to have this kind of situation. If elections did not hold in some areas, how did they get the result that were announced in those areas? So we have to be careful the way we allocate numbers to ourselves and coming out to claim that we won election in those areas. It can cause trouble. It can cause. We all know the kind of standing politically of the Imo State governor in that state. He is not really loved by the people. But he won election in that state. So, like, we are at the level now that since his name has been announced as the winner of the election, whoever is not satisfied with that process can go to court.
But Mr. Ali, would you say we've learned anything from our past mistakes when it comes to election?
We have not. We have not. Our election processes are still very, very faulty, extremely faulty, and filled with a lot of fraud. I am saying that with all emphasis that most of the elections that has taken place in this country are not 100% okay. We need to have a reorientation. And the moment we de-emphasize the issue of money during election, the better we will be in organizing our election. Because today, if you want to be governor of a state, you must have billions of naira. Otherwise, you can't go to anywhere. What are you doing with billions if you truly want to serve? Anybody that is able to spend 5 billion on a state governorship election, you can be sure that when he becomes governor, he will first of all take that 5 billion, add another 5 billion to it before he will start thinking of doing state duties. And so it's like you are investing in a business. That's what they have taken politics to be in Nigeria, and it shouldn't be so. Politics is meant for us to use that platform to choose leaders, genuine leaders, not corrupt leaders that will steer the country out of the present hopeless situation that we have found ourselves. But unfortunately, we have not learned from the past.
Okay, let's quickly talk about this one. Hundreds of commuters, they are currently stranded following a protest being held in Lagos by some commercial drivers against the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority and Task Force on Monday. And it was gathered that they embarked on the strike to protest extortion. Now, many people, they are stranded on the road. I also witnessed the same thing when coming this morning.
That is the unfortunate incident of the unfortunate result of a protest that is targeted at government, because the people will suffer. The protest is targeted at LASMA and task force in Lagos State, but unfortunately it's the ordinary Nigerians that are feeling the brunt of this protest. We have no choice but to appeal to the bus owners and transporters to please consider the plight of the people. I was coming today, it was like Exodus in the Bible. A lot of people were trekking, and I wondered what happened until I got to know that there has been a strike since very early this morning. So we are appealing to them to please call off this strike and go straight to the governor's office, if they must do so, to register their protest with the government, and not that they will stop all the services which helps me and you to get to where we are going to earn our daily income. It is not pleasant. They may have a good point in protesting, because if you really sit down and look at the level of extortion going on in Lagos, LASMA will do their own, police will do their own, the so-called LASPAC. If you make the mistake of going to an eatery where there is the payment of their annual fee, where there is contention over the payment of their annual fee, and you go there to park, the chances are that your car will be locked. Must you punish somebody who knows nothing about the offense of the other person for the offense that person has committed? It doesn't make sense. I didn't know whether there was an issue with an organization, and I went to that organization officially to conduct my official duties, and somebody is locking my car. It is annoying. So they should find a way of going directly to the culprits and get them to comply with whatever they want from them, than to start punishing innocent people.
But do you think going to the government will work? Because according to, going through this route every day, so one time I went and, I heard what people were saying, trying to enter just in a small bus to another location. They collected, one person came and said 200 naira for the normal levy. One will say, I'm on morning duty. You've only paid morning duty. You've not paid afternoon. You pay for afternoon. You pay for evening. You will also pay. You have to pay some percentage are giving to some other authorities, different officials.
That's the Agberos.
The people collecting, you pay for the first. So at the end of the day, sometimes these people end up complaining. So Going to Lagos state government, do you think this will work and this will help?
The state government gave authority to these people operating at the parks to collect some amount of money from buses. So it is the same government that you have to go, because the so-called agberos are illiterates. If you leave them with the bus owners, they will end up causing a major crisis. So we need the government to mediate between the bus owners and the agberos. If the government comes out with a law that they must not collect beyond a certain amount of money, they will have no choice but to comply. That is, if you back that law up with some punishment, they will have no choice but to comply. So you can't take the government away from the resolution of this crisis, because government gave legitimacy to LASPAC. You remember when there was a problem within the NURTW, and especially MC Oluomo, Lagos state government pulled out of NURTW and created a separate entity for MC Oluomo and renamed it at Lagos State Park and something committee with MC Oluomo as the head. That is the kind of role that the state government can also play in ensuring that all these agberos don't go out of their way to extort money from the bus owners. So we need the government to intervene urgently in that matter. Otherwise, you know what these boys can do. They can make Lagos State ungovernable, even if it is for 1 hour, just like it is happening today.
All right, lastly, let's touch on this one. And the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, they've welcomed the decision of the Senate to probe alleged admission racketeering in universities, say that it will be vindicated. This was according to what happened. A motion was moved by Senator Yinka. He cited admission travails at University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He alleged that university staff members conspired with JAMB officials to carry out unwholesome practices, prompting the Senate president to call for a fair hearing, saying JAMB was known to be a reputable institution. What do you think about this?
I say, when you have impunity, like I said earlier, it boils down to impunity. When you have impunity reigning supreme in a society, you continue to have all manners of corrupt activities. You continue to have all sorts of evils in that society. If 1 or 2 people have been arrested and severely punished for this act, we won't have it all over the universities anymore. At least it would have been reduced to the barest minimum. If somebody is caught for an offense today, you'll be looking for a big man that will go there and tell whoever arrested him to release him. And you will be surprised that he will be released. And nothing will happen. We must eradicate impunity from our structure in this country. For as long as impunity reigns, you will see all these kinds of criminal activities all over the country, because the last man that did it was left unpunished. So the next man that will do it believes that nothing will happen. Nothing. In those days, when Buhari was a military president here, and Idiagbon was the second in command, and they arrested some drug peddlers, they were made to face the firing squad. Drug peddling went down drastically. It almost died. Although I was not in support of firing squad for drug peddlers and all sorts of drug activities, as soon as Babangida came in, and he became president, there was an upsurge in that activity again, because that government came in and criticized death penalty for drug pushers and drug dealers. So that activity again went up because impunity was brought back to that sector. It is simple to govern Nigeria. All you need to do is to do what you ought to do in line with the law to curb evil acts in the society. Look at the man that was jailed for life for sexual malpractices against a relation of his wife, a doctor that was jailed recently. A lot of people looked at that judgment and commended it because people are now scared to commit such crimes. Because you know that if you do it, you might you might get a life jail. So we have to banish impunity from this society by applying the laws strictly for all the evils that we have in this society. If we don't do that, we will continue to have this kind of situation on our hands. So impunity is like a cankerworm. If you allow it to reign in the society, it continues to destroy the fabric of that society. If you have impunity, armed robbery will be prevalent, cheating will be prevalent, stealing will be prevalent, kidnapping will be prevalent. I saw the video of some kidnappers in some parts of Nigeria in full military kits. Why would our military sit down and allow people to use military uniform to kidnap people in the east and in the north? It's wrong. You are encouraging, because even now, if I'm traveling on the highway and I see a soldier in full military kit, I'll be afraid. I will think they are kidnappers because the military uniform has become too for penny in the hands of criminals. So if I'm driving on the highway and I run into a roadblock being manned by the military, I will panic because you are not sure that those military men are genuine or true military men. They could be criminals. So this is the reason why we must not allow the love of money to be on top of our patriotism to the country. We must love this country. You must do your best to help. We keep shouting that things are hard, things are tight. But what are we as citizens contributing to the betterment of the country? Yes, the government have its own faults. Must we all now be madmen so much that we don't even know what to do at a particular time to help this country to become a nation that all of us will be proud of? Look at the situation of the country today. Everybody is just shouting, Ilule, Ilule, Ilule. But what are you doing to make the Ilu Toro? It is unfortunate. People are not looking. You see, both the government and the followership have a role to play. The large responsibility is on the government. But we have a role to play too. For as long as you wake up every morning and continue to curse your leaders, curse the country, and you are living in Iluburuku, you are living in Iluoshi. So how do you want to make it in that society? It is unfortunate. We have to check our tongues. We have to pray. In America, the situation is as bad as it is here. But nobody wakes up to say, America, may curse be on your head. No. They are proud of that country. They pray for America. God bless America. So we should join that kind of system where we have to wake up in the morning and pray for Nigeria, and also work hard, because if you pray 100 times and you are not doing anything, You are not helping the situation. Everybody keep looking for government job. Why don't you learn a trade? See what you can do with your hands if the government jobs are not available. I know a lady that studied mass communication today. Is a cobbler and is making money. After graduation, I know I'm taking your time. After graduation, he went to learn how to make shoes. Today, he's making a lot of money. He's in Ikeja there. So let's take a cue from that.
Be positive every morning when you wake up and pray for the country.
Yes.
Let's end it on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. This morning, Mr. Liu. And the first person speaking is Mrs. Mrs. says, will you shut up and let me talk? You touched another woman's body because she told you a touching story. Since when have you touched me last? And Mr. replied, I'm sorry, dear. Please come over and tell me a touching story too.
This man must be punished.
Mrs. is really angry.
He must not have his breakfast, lunch, and dinner for one day. That should be his punishment.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Liu.
Thank you.
And this is where we have to draw the curtain. My name is Damilola Opunshaki. Do what to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. And to get more reports on the election and the results,